Will you lead me to paradise?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to review Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 10, Episode 2. Ken and Trish meet with Maurice and Kimmy at a restaurant to discuss life and also to give them a recap about what's been going on between them and Marquez. Ken tells him that he met up with Marquez and that the two of them were able to get on the same page. At least he thought that they were. Trish jumps into the conversation and lets them know that Marquez came into their house without knocking and started going off on Sharon. And to be completely honest with you all, if I was Marquez, I would have went off on Sharon too. She was doing too much in my opinion. Kimmy asked Trish, why would he just randomly decide to go off on your friend? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And Trish, and this may be editing, but Trish, she trimmed down the conversation to make it appear as if Marquez went off on her for no reason, and as if he went in there with the intent to start some shit, when in fact, at least the way that I remembered it, Sharon was the one that started it with him. Ken tells him that he believes that Marquez has an issue with tone and also with controlling himself. Maurice tells him that he needs to respect the fact that Marquez is the children's father. Ken counters this by telling Maurice that Marquez needs to respect him in general. Kimmy thinks that Marquez may be jealous of the fact that the kids actually like Ken, and I was like, you know what, Kimmy, that may be true. Ken says without saying that if this continues to go on, that he's pretty much going to beat Marquez's ass. Martel goes to the furniture store to look for items that could put aside of his investment property. He tells us in the confessionals that Ari, and yes, I said Ari, is thinking about moving into his investment property. I was just like, wow, they're really going to make this into a storyline. While he is shopping, Destiny comes in and he tells her that he's planning to move Ari, his son, and her daughter into his crib. Destiny asks him for clarification, and he tells her that he's going to move her into his investment property, not into his actual home, and Destiny is relieved. Martel tells her that he is not going to move in with her until they are married. Destiny is curious if they are engaged. He says no. She asks him if he has been looking for rings, and he says yes. She is curious about, what is preventing him from getting engaged. And he tells her that he just pretty much wants to take the proper steps. And also he wants to get over his divorce, which I think is fair. Because it's just like, why get married to someone else when you're still trying to process your divorce? Destiny tells him that he should seek therapy, and this causes Martel to pivot and ask her about Lance. She tells him that their relationship pretty much fizzled out and that she's open to dating someone else. After this, we see Marceau, and he tells us that he had no idea how hard it was going to be to build Scott Manor. He did not expect to have to blast through boulders, use as much concrete, or have to use 18-inch steel beams. Tisha and the kids pull up, and she tells us in the confessionals that they started building Scott Manor in 2019, and I was just like, ooh, it's giving Chateau Charest. Marceau and Tisha have a conversation about their oldest going to college, and Marceau reveals that their son wants to go to Michigan. Tisha gets upset about this because she feels like Michigan is too far. Marceau, on the other hand, is okay with it because he's actually from Michigan. Tisha pivots and begins talking about their accomplishments. Marceau tells her that they are having issues completing the Jordan Lane project because Maurice and Kimmy are not on the same page. Tisha tells him that he should listen to Kimmy since it is essentially her project. Tisha then brings up the brokerage project that they were working on, and she wants him to put focus on that opposed to the Jordan Lane project, and he says that he will get it done within 45 days. She's like, do you mean 30? He said, no, I said 45 days. Marquez and Maurice meet, and Marquez tells him that he recently went to the courthouse and he found out that the divorce paperwork excluded minor children, so he decided not to sign it. Maurice asks him if either of them have a lawyer, and he tells him no. Marquez tells Maurice that he feels like Trish is going out of her way to make things difficult for him. He also tells Maurice that he feels like the only way that he's going to get in a good place with his children is if he's in a good place with Trish, and I agree. He tells Maurice that he feels like Trish loves Kim because Kim reminds her of her dad, and that she used to try to make him be like her dad. Maurice tells him that he needs to be accountable for his actions and asks him what did he do wrong in the marriage. He tells him that he was wrong for not leaving after the first year of marriage because he knew it wasn't going to work. He goes on to say that his father told him that the marriage wouldn't last for 5 years, so he stayed in the marriage to prove him wrong. Maurice asks Marquez why didn't he leave after the 5th year. He tells him that he did not leave because Trish did not want him to leave, and that the only reason why she filed for divorce is because Ken made her file. He tells Maurice that he actually gave Trish to Ken, and that if he wanted her back, he can have her, and I just shook my head because I was just like, this is not going to end well. After this, we see Ken and Trish, and we find out that they invited Marquez and Sharon, and I personally felt like she invited Sharon on purpose to try to antagonize Marquez. And speaking of Marquez, he walks into the house again without knocking. Marquez sits down, and Ken tells him that they need to set boundaries to prevent what happened the other day from happening again. He tells Ken that he feels like they should have set boundaries years ago, when the two of them first started dating. Trish doesn't feel this way because she feels like he was out of sight, out of mind. And so Trish, she starts to ask him about, why did you think it was okay for you to come into my house without knocking? Like, what was that about? And he says that he did not actually open the door, but instead his daughter actually opened the door and that he just followed behind her because she was carrying some bags. And to me, I feel like that kind of changes things. Sharon arrives at the house and Marquez, he transforms into somebody completely different. He becomes very performative. He starts showing off in front of the cameras. And I was just like, wow, okay. I think I see where Trish is coming from. Marquez apologizes to Sharon, then asks Trish why would she feed her misinformation about him. She tells him that she did not feed her misinformation and that she was simply going off of her energy. The group continues to talk and Marquez tells Trish that he feels like she is traumatizing the kids. Ken jumps into the conversation and tells him that she is not traumatizing the kids. And then next thing you know, Sharon attempts to assert herself into the conversation. I was like, Sharon, respectfully, please shut the fuck up. Ken attempts to chastise Marquez about his parenting skills. Marquez tells him that he can't tell him shit when it comes to his kids. Ken says, actually, I can because I'm actually active in their lives, unlike you. And then next thing you know, they both move forward in their seats. And I'm just like, uh-oh, are they about to fight? Ken tells him that while those are his kids, they're now part of his family. Kaz pivots and brings up the divorce paperwork. Trish gets her a copy of the paperwork and it shows that she did put the kids' names on the paperwork. He's really not trying to hear from Trish, so Ken grabs the paper and basically shoves it in his face. Kaz gets up and tells him to chill out, so Ken tells him to get the fuck out of his house. Ken gets up and it looks like he's getting ready to attack him, but then the episode goes off, so now we have to wait until next week to see what happens. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you could, please like, comment, share, subscribe. That would be great. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.